Oh, we're live. What do you like? You like this?
There you
There we
go.
go.
There you
There
go.
we go. And we can't go live without a little bit of our theme music.
Oh. Need one.
Ladies and
one.
gentlemen,
1 second.
we will be joined soon enough by Mike Fuji, co-host of BroadStreetSouth.com. He's back. We got myself, Dylan, in the house. We got Nate, the Dirty Bird. This is Mostly Football, episode 3. We're talking NFL draft with a special emphasis on the Philadelphia Eagles. Maybe we'll get into Sixers. Who knows? Nate knows a lot more about basketball than me. Let's get it started. Guys, how are we doing tonight? Mike Fuji of BroadStreetSouth.com. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Thank you for having us. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, Angel's not here, is he? Is he in the room with you?
Nah, he's actually lives in Tampa, but he's from Philly.
Oh, man, you must be jealous of him in the winter, huh?
Yeah, I just don't know how anybody can live in Florida as far as, and in the summertime with that humidity.
Yeah, we feel it here in Augusta. Trust me, it's the same type. Well, I don't know. I bet someone from Florida would say it's even worse, but that's how we do it, right? Someone's always got to work for someone else. But my God, I feel like I just took a shower right now.
It's like you take a shower and then 15 minutes later, you're like sweating again. So,
Nate, how are you doing, sir?
Me?
You ready to talk some Eagles football?
Yeah, man. I've been waiting all weekend for this.
Falcons made an okay splash, but the Eagles made a splash. All, we did a cannonball.
See, the thing is, I feel like we went in with a plan and we stuck to that plan. Unlike last year, there was a plan set, but Kyle Pitts fell to us, so they was just like, let's take Kyle Pitts and then scratch the plan. But this year, we definitely stuck to our plan this year.
I'll be honest, I saw Drake London go off the board. I was very upset. I was hoping Philly would nab him. I know he's a very controversial player amongst the Philadelphia fans, that's for sure. If you're a Pac-12 wide receiver, the taste of Nelson Aguilar and J.J. Arcega-Whiteside stick right in your craw. So,
they want to convert J.J. Arcega-Whiteside to a tight end. It's like, well, what pictures does he have on Howie Roseman? It's like what are some of these picks? Howie's used to. Hey, Howie, I'll give you props for this weekend. You pulled off some magic, but you like to keep these draft picks around. Andre Dillard, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, Jalen Reagor. We don't want to get into that with the Justin Jefferson because I'll blow a gasket from 2020 because I could have pulled him right through the TV. When he took Reagor, Justin Jefferson sitting there like, and anybody in Eagles Nation, the consensus pick would have had Justin Jefferson better than the smartest guy in the room that he thought he was.
The cameraman thought we were going with Justin Jefferson.
Well, hey, look at the replay to Minnesota. We were like high-fiving. Like, what the hell was Howie smoking that night?
Yeah. Well, luckily they remedied that in this weekend's draft. We'll get to that a little bit. Mike, give us a little bit of intro to BroadStreetSouth.com before we jump too deep into anything. How long you been doing it? Who's your co-host, and what are you focused on?
Co-host and founder is Angel Martinez, originally a Philly guy, lives in Tampa. We are about 133 episodes in. We kind of got started. Angel was doing some Philly sports updates on Facebook, and I was just chiming in. We were talking for a while, and he's like, was looking to do a podcast, for Philly sports. And I'm like, yeah, I'm on board because it was a big dream of mine. Always wanted to do sports talk, but just never followed it. But jumped in, we hit it right off, and, we got a nice flow. We had some big names. We've had Seth Joyner on to play for the Philadelphia Eagles, Barrett Brooks, former Eagle. We have a partnership with Big Sarge Sports down at Houston 790 with ex-Eagle ND Clue in the trenches. That comes on, I believe, around 11 to 1, 10 to 12 Central Time Also, we have a partnership with Sean Salisbury, Houston 790. We've had him on. We've had some big name guests over the last couple years, and a lot of local Philly sports people. And we're going strong, and we're just trying to explore other avenues. We came a long way from just starting out, but like I'm telling you guys, I mean, it's, I was like in the very beginning, stumbling and mumbling, like, how do you do this? Now it's like a walk in the park. I mean, it's fun. It's just great getting different guests on.
Absolutely. Like you said, you just recently had Seth Joyner on, and for anyone who needs just a taste of the energy that is Mike Fuji, go ahead and watch the beginning of that episode. Mike is pumped. Angel's like, hey guys, everyone, this is Broad Street South, and we're here to have a nice, relaxed episode. We're gonna have Seth Joyner on today, and Mike just comes in. We got Eagles, baby, tons of plays, and it's Bradford.
I mean, we're primarily a 4-for-4 Philly sports, but we do talk a lot of national sports as well. So, kind of, the best of both worlds.
I mean, there's a lot of chump podcasts out there, but I think everyone should definitely check out Broad Street South. If you have time, check out Mostly Football, but that's only because you can see Mike Fuji on here from time to time. Now, speaking of the legendary Seth Joyner, go ahead with that. I want to hear where you're going with that.
Oh, no, I was just going to say we have our own website. Check us out, BroadStreetSouth.com. We're on all platforms. We have a clothing line as well.
Really?
Yeah.
All the way down to the skivvies, or what are we talking here?
Not yet, not skivvies, but just like koozies and water bottles, T-shirts, hoodies. I think we got to get working more on that, but check us out. Matter of fact, we are in about 28 to 30 states stateside, and matter of fact, we just got picked up in Australia, so we're probably about 12 or 13 countries.
Oh, dang.
Nice. Jesus.
Yeah,
we got to step our game up, Dylan.
You're not kidding, man. I mean, we got to.
Hey. Actually, like the first couple countries we got picked up was like China and Russia, and we were like, what the hell?
Great.
I mean, I think we're picked up in all the whole country of Brazil, Canada, Denmark, England, somewhere in the Middle East.
It sounds like your podcast
China, Russia.
You guys are about to get sanctioned.
Hey, I don't know. Hey, I'm just hopefully one day to, it's fun, but hey, to get paid for it's even better, which we don't get paid. We do it out, for fun and the love of this. So, hey, if the money rolls in one day with the contract, that's even more, puts, it's bittersweet and puts the sugar on, the cherry on top.
Well, don't say anything in front of Nate. I keep telling him that eventually I'm going to start paying him, but it's kind of like kicking the can down the road type of thing. You know what I'm saying?
You never know. As they say on these podcasts, you never know who's watching.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just a perfect example, not to go too far on a tangent. I mean, I have been just amazed at what local Philadelphia talent, Philly 500, has done with his channel. Just ranting and raving, taking it from the, from the basement all the way to Jacob Media. I'm seeing him recently on. So look at this guy. Shout out to Philly 500 doing his thing out there as well. There's a lot of Philadelphia personalities out there. Maybe I don't love the entire city of Philadelphia per se, but there's plenty of personalities in Philadelphia that I absolutely adore.
Well, I don't know if you guys, I'm sure you've seen them all over NFL Network, ESPN, a friend of mine, Jamie Paye, a.k.a. the Philly Sports Guy.
Philly Sports Guy, absolutely.
Who wears number 11.
Hey,
he's... Hello. How are you? He's all over. I believe he was just interviewed by somebody on NFL Network out in Vegas. He just came back. So he's at every sporting event. Philadelphia Union, Sixers, Flyers, Phillies, Eagles. So he's pretty much like the face of Philly sports.
He's well, I don't want to. I was gonna say he's like the fireman out of Philadelphia, but that would be degrading the Philly sports guy, if you know what I'm saying.
Right.
We don't need to do that to him. And last week, oddly enough, we talked about our last meal, and I gave a shout out to Chicky Pete's. I said, as much as I would love to eat Chinese to death, the first time I had a Chicky Pete's with some lobster on top, I fell in love. That would be my last meal.
Matter of fact, Chicky and Pete's, I actually grew up by the original bar restaurant, probably about 5 minutes away. So,
see, I told you, Nate.
Well, I think they're pretty much world renowned. I mean, I believe they're in every arena possible across the USA.
Oh, dang.
I don't know if they're overseas, but they came from a little corner bar and blew up within the last 20 years. So
you mean you don't know if they're in China or Russia? You got to ask the fans, man.
I know. I'll have to double check that and get back to you on it.
So speaking of the legendary Philadelphia Eagles, Seth Joyner, you guys had just talked to him recently. He was giving his thoughts on where the Philadelphia Eagles may go in the draft. Obviously, the name Jordan Davis has been connected to Philadelphia for some time now. If you had asked me several weeks ago, I was all aboard the Jordan Davis train. I started to watch, I don't say I watch tape. I'm not one of these guys who says I watch tape. I watch YouTube, okay?
All you had to do is ask me. I could have told you. I could have gave you a forefront of what he was about, dude. Like,
I love Jordan Davis. If my thought became, if we're going to use a pick in the teens on a player, is it smart to use it on a 2-down player? And that's exactly what Seth Joyner was saying. So before you had even talked to Seth, what were your thoughts on who may be connected and maybe Jordan Davis and some other guys you had in mind?
Oh, Jordan Davis, running a 4.3 in the combine.
Yeah,
it looked like a 4.78 for a guy who's 340 pounds.
Right. I mean, Dean was another one, but Nakobe Dean was another one, but the Eagles haven't drafted a linebacker since 1979, which was Jerry Robinson. To me, I actually wanted Sauce Gardner.
Yeah.
And because to me, this team hasn't really drafted a stud D-back, probably not since Lito Shepherd / Sheldon Brown. And that was 2003, which was probably one of the better Eagles drafts probably in the last 20 years. But, it's a passing league. I think that's the Achilles heel of this team. I love Darius Slay, but Darius Slay is 32 years old. How much longer is he going to be here? The Eagles don't like to really keep guys with that, young 30s philosophy. Like, you need a shutdown corner because it's a passing league. And you're going up against the CD Lambs of the world, the Terry McLaurins, other guys in the NFL, like yearly. I mean, look at the schedule. Whether it was Tyreek Hill last year, Deebo Samuel when we played San Fran / Kansas City. And to me, Howie did a hell of a job at the draft. I think picking up Hassan Reddick was a great move. They picked up the other linebacker. I forget White from the Chargers.
Yep.
But, to me, he really didn't address the corner situation. And I know at the very end of the draft, he did get the one gentleman from D-back from Clemson that was on the board. But, I just think that's the Achilles heel, that in the safety position. As we were talking on, before we came on, like Honey Badger. Like, you could have just brought him in. I mean, somebody posted something about Landon Collins, but I think the better days of Landon Collins are in the rear view. Absolutely. I mean, they brought back Anthony Harris, which he can play the run, but he's just had some issues. He got benched last year. They have Epps, who was an undrafted free agent they picked up. Hell, we can pick up these guys off the street, and they seem to find some diamonds in the rough with undrafted free agents, but unless they picked up Steve Nelson late, I think before training camp last year, and he took a 2-year deal and went to Houston. So, that other side is still remains to be seen.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that, just kind of like Russell Wilson, kind of like DK Metcalf. It's weird how Seahawks leave a bad taste in the mouths of Philadelphia Eagles fans because even as much as we love BG and we love BG, Earl Thomas
Yeah.
was there. We wanted Earl Thomas and we didn't get Earl Thomas. And ever since Earl Thomas, we wanted that center fielder safety and we just
Well, I
haven't
mean,
got it.
over the years, I mean, you got spoiled with Wes Hopkins, Andre Waters, Brian Dawkins. That Philadelphia defense would knock you on your. I don't know if
Easy
I
now.
could
We still need MeUndies on here.
say. No, but it was just that old gangrene defense of Buddy Ryan, Seth Joyner, Byron Evans, Wes Hopkins, Reggie White, Jerome Brown. We could go on and talk about one of the best defenses that ever stepped on the field that never won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, Seth had to go elsewhere.
I think honestly, if just based on how they drafted, especially going after Nakobe Dean, I think what they want to do, I feel like because if you think about how Seattle built their defense,
Right.
they built their defense based on their pass rush. Like, because if you really want to be honest, Richard Sherman and Byron Maxwell were not great corners.
Oh no, I mean
that pass rush.
No.
That pass rush.
Listen, we know Byron Maxwell.
don't get me on Byron Maxwell. How much money did he steal?
So y'all know.
And he ended up back with Seattle after he got cut from here.
So I think the reason they went after Jordan Davis because they know Fletcher Cox doesn't. He got a year? They re-signed him to a 1-year contract. Yep. You get Jordan Davis in, you get him some playing time under Fletcher Cox. Then you get Nakobe Dean. You saw what they did in Georgia together. When he's healthy, dude, that's a good tandem. So I think they went for yes, it's a passing league, but you also got to get pressure because I mean you can have the best corners in the league, and if they're covering for 5 seconds, it's a done deal.
Yeah.
Well, the philosophy of the Eagles back in the Andy Reid regime was, you'd pay the D line and you pay the corners, which I pay homage to that because, like I said, the Eagles were, I think, second in the last in sacks and pressure last year, and it all starts up front. Which I was listening to another show the other day, and it seems like the Eagles got a 4-3 base defense, but somebody said that possibly they could go to a 3-4, knowing that they got a Son Reddick, which probably will play the joker position, and Jordan Davis could be your perfect nose tackle.
Yeah, absolutely. And Seth was even talking about having 5 down linemen, quite often. So that'll be interesting to see. I know Gannon wants to get creative, and Seth knows a lot more about defensive sets than I do. So if he thinks that a 5-man line is the way to go, I'd be curious to see how Nakobe Dean holds up as like a middle of the field coverage linebacker. But I think the philosophy right now, from what I understand, as far as Davis and Dean, is if we can be dominant in run defense and force teams into 3rd and 9, 3rd and 8, then we already have that advantage going into the pass rush and whatnot.
Well, I mean, you got Milton Williams, who was drafted last year, stepped in nicely and picked up Javon Hargrave 2 years ago.
Yep.
I mean, talk about some good guys up front to shut that run down. I mean, with me, Fletcher Cox, I think he's been done for the last couple of years. I know he had an injury he was dealing with in training camp, coming off surgery, probably about 2-3 seasons ago. Brandon Graham, love the guy, great heart, Super Bowl hero. I mean, 33, 34 years old, coming off an Achilles. That's tough at that age.
Oh, yeah.
24 to 34, it's a big difference.
And I'll say this about Derek Barnett. I wasn't crazy about the 2-year extension. He's been a disappointment as far as the pass rush. He was a much better pass rusher at Tennessee. And I hate the personal fouls. I hate the late hits and the stupid penalties.
Oh, right.
The saving grace, he's a decent run defender. I think Vinny Curry was a better run defender, but Barnett's okay in run defense.
Yeah, but I believe, as you're touching on Derek Barnett, I believe I think he kind of led the league in penalties as far as offsides and all that stuff last season.
It's a killer. It's a killer.
Well, I wanted to put my head through the wall. Why did they just brought him back for depth purposes?
Yeah.
But it's going to be interesting to see what Jonathan Gannon does with all these guys he has. He's got a lot of toys to play with.
Now, if you were to guess, out of all 32 GMs, who would be most likely to put some disinformation on there about Dean, where would you put Howie in that mix?
Well, when I look back to 2017, not to like compare the Eagles taking Dean in the third round, but if you remember, Howie took Sidney Jones in the second round.
True. Yeah.
He was coming off that torn Achilles, which before Sidney Jones got hurt, he probably definitely would have been the number one pick. He was probably one of the top D-backs coming out of college that year.
And listen, the measurables are not there. He's a step slower than most guys at the combine. He's a step shorter than most guys at the combine. But damn it, when you see him jump that hook route against Florida outside the half.
Who are you referring to? First of all, who are you referring to? I feel like you're getting a tad disrespectful here.
Listen, that's why
I feel like you're getting a tad disrespectful right now.
You don't fall unless you have medical or unless the measurables are not there.
The measurables are there, so that's
if you
what I heard. What I heard the first night, second day was a pectoral issue. That was the one thing that I heard.
That's the rumor.
Yep.
That was that he strained it or he had an issue. But I'm gonna put it like this: when he is healthy, you get a hell of a player. Like blitzing coverage, you're gonna get one hell of a player. And to pair him with Jordan Davis, it's if you've never watched the Georgia game from last season, you missed a lot. You missed magic last year. Like Nakobe Dean was the best player on the field. Period. He was the best player on the field.
Well,
go ahead.
No, go ahead. Didn't mean to call you off.
So at this point, I mean, we got to see what the issue is and if we can get him healthy. Once he's healthy and he's on the field, he's going to stay on the field. He's a different person when he's on the field. So they got a like I told you, you got a great value for cheap.
Well, I was just kind of shocked that he fell there. You know, a lot of teams passed on him, especially in the third round.
Yeah, because even if they took the Ravens, Baltimore took that kid from Michigan who tore his Achilles at his pro day. So I was just like, it had to be something more than just a strained pectoral or whatever. It had to have been more because you don't fall that far. A guy who tore his Achilles got taken before you did. So there's something more than that.
Well, and Mike, obviously you've seen some, legendary linebacker play since you've been watching the game. I know a guy that Nakobe Dean reminds me of that I watch plenty of is London Fletcher. Shorter guy who he doesn't have everything you need as far as speed goes, but he's always where the ball is, and that's what Nakobe Dean is going to be. I love it. There's one particular play, too, that stands out to me because he understands his size. Like, it's not just the instincts because he's always around the ball. But against Alabama, I believe it was the SEC championship game, dive right up the middle. Brian Robinson is a bigger back. I think he's as big, if not bigger, than Nakobe Dean. And rather than try to drive through Robinson, Dean just kind of Spider-Man hops on him and leans back, and almost like pro wrestling, he just understands everything about leverage and tackling and where to be. And I just think the leadership and the fiery energy is something we don't have right now. We had it in Jeremiah Trotter and a few other guys back in the day, but the linebacking core needs some juice, and that's exactly what Dean brings. So I love the pick.
Well, it's just that. I mean, this team, really, the Eagles really haven't drafted an impact player since Brian Dawkins.
Right.
Somebody, the heart and soul that's just going to get the defense fired up and be a leader. I mean, you had Malcolm Jenkins, you had Brandon Graham, you had Fletcher Cox, but you need an impact that's going to come in and take the bull by the horns on this defense. But hopefully Jonathan Gannon will let them run wild. None of this Jim Schwartz breakdown bend defense. Hey, to me, just send the house just like they did in 91, my man. Because, different era at different times, but send the house. I'm tired of us, playing back on your heels junk.
Oh, same here. Absolutely. Come after it, get after it. Let Hassan Reddick attack the ball and
Right.
some other guys. I'm excited to see what this Kyron Johnson can do. The last pick, Calcaterra, kind of confused me. A guy who was already retired medically, and now apparently, he's going to come back.
Apparently, he wanted to be a fireman. And as soon as I heard that, I'm thinking Danny Watkins. Like, oh no, another fireman. What the heck's this guy going to walk off in the sunset? If he makes the team and go be a fireman. Another pick by Howie, thought he was the smartest man in the room. Not.
And speaking of interior linemen, you bring up Danny Watkins. Pick 51's there. Everyone thinks it's going to be N'Kobe Dean or an impact D-back, and Cam Jurgens pops up on the screen, and everyone's going,
hey,
oh, boy.
Say again, Nate?
You didn't like the pick? You didn't like
I like it. I mean, I was hoping it would have been a D-back. But my thing is, Jason Kelce made this call. I mean, he did the research. They said that Jason Kelce pretty much could see himself in Cam Jurgens. So, hey, you can't go wrong with a guy like Kelce's judgment.
No, not at all.
No, I agree. I think
y'all signed him to 1 year, right?
Kelce's back for at least another year, yeah.
Yeah, I think this is it. I mean, he found a successor, so.
I think most perplexing is we also used a second-round pick on Dickerson last year, so that's probably
we did. Right.
Yeah, so I think that got a lot of Eagles fans like, I thought we already went down that road.
Well, with all his injuries, with a couple torn ACLs and God knows what have you on that injury report, but he came, stepped right in.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Mike. So you've been super generous with your time. I mean, I said a certain amount of time. We're almost double that now. How about we put the cherry on top with perhaps the most exciting part of Eagles draft weekend? The pick number 18 we acquired from the Saints, end up trading that to Tennessee along with a mere third-round pick and acquire one of the best young wide receivers in the game in A.J. Brown. I mean, when you initially heard the news, what are your thoughts?
I love it. How he got the 4-year deal done for $100 million. I know he's coming off, some hamstring issues, but this not going to rip Howie, but the guy can't draft receivers. I'm sorry, he can't. And I'm going to tell it like it is. I love the A.J. Browns. Hey, people can sour on me in Eagles Nation, whatever. All right, he got the job done. He had a nice draft, but it remains to be seen what goes on the field. I mean, you look at these guys drafted, sometimes it takes at least 3 years for a guy to pan out. But with Jordan Davis and N'Kobe Dean, these guys should step right in there. But, he just – all right, he drafted Devontae Smith. But he's just had a bad track record of drafting receivers. And it hurts me to no end. But he got the job done. He got Jalen Hurts a weapon, which I was furious because he really didn't do much besides bringing Zach Pascal. But the only thing I question, and I don't want to hold you guys up, is the running game. The running game. I mean, you picked up a couple undrafted free agents, but, it's like, where are you going to bring Jordan Howard? I mean, you got Gainwell, you got Boston Scott, and Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders has missed 12 games in the last 2 years, which he's in the last year of his contract, and I don't think he'll be back. But everything remains to be seen. I don't want to hold you guys up, but
no, Mike. I mean, if you got time, by all means.
No, yeah, I got time.
Yeah,
I do have a question though.
So
how do you feel? So now that, because I feel like we watched the press conference last week.
Yep.
So now that Jalen Hurts has Dallas Goedert, Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, and a few others, what do you think that says for Jalen Hurts? Do you think that this is like, hey, this is your year? Like, you show us that you can.
It's right now. I mean, Jalen Hurts is going into the last year of his rookie deal. So Howie went out, got him A.J. Brown, Quez Watkins, well, who was already here. Devontae Smith. Now's Dallas Goedert. Now's the time to step up and produce. So, I mean, Eagles got a big question, to ask themselves come next season. Are you going to pay Jalen Hurts 35 to 40 million plus to be your future?
Yeah, you're gonna pay him to be a good fantasy quarterback, or are we gonna have a franchise quarterback here?
Exactly. I mean,
I feel like this has to be his year.
If they don't go postseason, they're certainly doing everything they can to get a quarterback next year.
Yeah, but the whole thing of it is everybody's got to stay healthy. I mean, we all we can't wait for the schedule to come out in another week, a week from this Thursday, 10 days. We all go, well, win, loss. You lose a guy like you lost Brandon Graham last year, which, to me hurt that defensive line, especially in the pass rush. They went 9-8. I think the Eagles might only beat one team over 500, or was it? They didn't beat anybody over 500. But
right,
they got to the playoffs. You got a lot of these young guys, Jalen Hurts, the young Bucks. They got a taste of the playoffs, and it's all Nick Sirianni. I mean, you got to open up. That's the problem last year. You ran the ball because they weren't even passing the ball downfield. Now that Devontae Smith has A.J. Brown and a little bit of a supporting cast, maybe he can get open if A.J. Brown's double team. Dallas Goedert being open, Quez Watkins.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, if you watch the tape, or as I like to say, go to YouTube on Devontae Smith. I mean, you watch this highlight reel. It's not a highlight reel. But that's what I like about it. It's all the dirty work. It's the comebacks. It's the deep ends. It's all the second chance. Coming back and catching the ball away from your body. There's not a whole lot of bombs. There's not a whole lot of taking screens to the house. But it's that Isaac Bruce. It's that Marvin Harrison moving the chains, methodical, open, catching the ball. And now that we have someone who does the other stuff in A.J. Brown, who can explode over the top, who can take a screen to the house. Not that Devontae can't, but, I mean, it's just a different type of ability in A.J. Brown, and that presents a whole other dynamic. Now, if you were thinking about stacking the box because the Eagles are so effective in the run game, now you have to think twice. Now maybe A.J. goes over the top. So I think the addition is huge. Honestly, in that draft class, when it was AJ and DK, I was all in on AJ. And I know James Seltzer, I listened to a recent Go Birds podcast where he said the exact same thing. I think all Eagles fans were looking for anyone but JJ Arcega-Whiteside that year. And when you know it, they get JJ.
Well, the Powys had a love for the Pac-12 for years. Like, SEC, do we need to spell it out for you? I mean, it's a no-brainer. These guys are prepared to come to the NFL to be impact players right away.
Yeah, they were.
I think Philly sports media has finally pounded that into his head after back-to-back Alabama players last year and back-to-back Georgia players this year. I think he's finally got it.
Yeah, he finally woke up. He was a late bloomer, but welcome to the party, Howie. You got it right.
But no, I mean, you mentioned the run game, and if not for Nakobe Dean, the Cam Jurgens pick leaves a much nastier taste in my mouth because, having to wait on a guy who is not going to play this year. But this is also a team where, just ask Brandon Lee Gowton. He talks all the time about how frustrating it is to watch injuries on this Eagles offensive line. That was the bugaboo, really, aside from the Super Bowl year. I mean, we've seen Lane Johnson go down, Jason Peters go down. I mean, Jason Kelsey is the only guy who hasn't missed time. He's the ultimate Iron Man. But it's nice to have depth on that line. It's nice to have Opeta with snaps. It's nice to have Dillard with some snaps and Jack Driscoll. Oddly enough, I think your boy, Mike, I think Seth Joyner has a lot of pull in the organization because he was mentioning how Nate Herbig might not be the long-term answer. And when you know Nate Herbig is no longer with the team.
He got caught today. I was a little surprised with that. But.
So yeah, that was an odd one. Now, so you were mentioning with, I think, ultimately with the run game, you were saying how like you want a power back, right? You're tired of going to the same old Jordan Howard well.
Oh, I love Jordan Howard, but the guy just can't seem to stay healthy, and he's a free agent unless there's somebody caught in training camp. Or I know you're not going to trade for a running back, obviously, but you may. Who knows? Who
Yeah,
knows what Howie has up his sleeve?
that's
So
kind of that's definitely an
between
area I'm all for. No offense, if we ever have a running back on the show in the future, no offense, but don't pay running backs. There's so many guys out there
oh, of
who can run
course.
the ball.
So
So
would you
Oh,
many
make a
guys.
trade for Saquon?
but hey, Nate, you live right in that area where that knucklehead paid
That was dumb.
Zeke Elliott. Hey,
Extremely
it's
wasted.
Jerry. It's Jerry Jones doing stupid Jerry Jones things, and thank you, and keep up the good work. Just like the guy that straight down 95 here, Dan Snyder, another buffoon. Two jackasses. Keep up the good work, Commanders, whatever you're called, and the Cowboys. Keep your owners living for another 100 years, and let them be a dumpster fire every year. Thank you.
Saquon's next.
Interrupt
I
you.
think either the Giants are going to pay him, or they may let him go.
He's damaged goods. Get him out of here. Look, here's another analogy for you. What Penn State running back has ever did anything in the NFL? They're all cursed. They get hurt all the time. Kajana Carter, 1995, first preseason game, done. First play of the game, torn ACL, was never the same again. Just an example.
I loved watching Larry Johnson for that 1 year.
Right. But
that 1 year was magical.
Go back in history and what Penn State running back was an impact in the NFL. All right, Saquon was a beast the first couple years. But torn ACLs, he's not the same running back.
No. They get a year at him.
I think he's done.
He had the ACL. He had the ACL the year before, and then he severely sprained his ankle last season, and he missed a bunch of games. Then he ain't been the same. But again, it's the Giants, and their offensive line is not the greatest. I think they're gonna give Daniel Jones his final year just to see.
Yeah, well, they didn't pick up his fifth option last week.
No, and they didn't draft a quarterback, so I'm thinking this is more of a see what you can do type year.
Oh.
I don't see much, but I mean they did good on their defense. They did get Evan Neal too.
I believe they did.
Yeah. So maybe they set him up for success.
No, yeah, the Giants amazing 2 first picks. You couldn't ask for better 2 first picks, in my opinion. I've been hard on Thibodeau since I saw him play the first snap ever at Oregon. He's just such a beast. And then Neal, I heard Daniel Jeremiah say if you took Evan Neal's body and put Eke Ekwonu's personality in that, then you got a hell of a player. But I think he was trying to get at Evan Neal's little finesse, so we'll see. But Mike, our boy, your boy. Not our boy. Someday he'll be our boy. But Seth Joyner was saying, Jalen Reagor, if I'm the owner of this team, if I'm on GM, I'm ripping the Band-Aid off right now. If I can't trade him for even a 7th-round pick, I'm cutting him. I don't need him on the team. Let's put you in those shoes. You're Howie Roseman.
That's a no-brainer. He'd be first going.
You're cutting
our Sega Whiteside, pack your bags.
Cutting them both.
Go to the USFL or the XFL.
Okay, so
go play in Canada if he
can
make the team.
All right, so you don't think there's any way he makes the team under Mike Fuji?
Not under my team, not under my umbrella. Hell no. Right. They'd be the first one getting caught. Here's your pink slip. Turn in your book and hit the bricks. I'm done.
He's just, we've given Jalen. I mean, I think it would be wrong to say Jalen has not had opportunities. He's had opportunities. He's got a body type that reminds me of Debo, and I just am curious if he could do that Debo, Cordell Patterson, like maybe see what he can do out of the backfield. But
the difference between those guys that you just mentioned is those guys can catch.
Well, and also, I mean, in Philly, it's pretty redundant. I mean, Boston Scott and Kenneth Gainwell are the same exact player, so he's kind of screwed in that regard.
I want to go back to that Giants game up in the Meadowlands, which they came out flat as pancakes. And Hurts tried. I believe it was at right near in the end zone, or a couple of yards shy of it when Jalen Rager dropped the ball.
He hit
And
him right
then
in the face mask.
and it was, I forget his answer, but I'm sure if you YouTube it or whatever, it was like a nonchalant answer in the press conference, like, you know, like I forget exactly what he said, but Eagles, I know a lot of fans in Philly weren't too happy about his reply.
I don't think
Like,
nobody
like,
was happy with
like
that.
my thing is, why was Jalen Hurts throwing to Jalen Rager, not Devontae Smith?
I know.
I mean, at the end of the game, even to win the damn game, you want to go to your number one, not the number one boss from 2 years ago. I mean, you don't want to get me fired.
All he had to do is catch the ball. All he had to do was catch it.
That's all. Call Lester Hayes up, get Stickum, find out where you get it.
And I wanted to, you know, watching the highlights, Jalen Rager at TCU is a very explosive athlete, a very fast, quick twitch player. For whatever reason, he's not that player in the NFL just yet. He looks a lot slower than he did at TCU. And also, I thought the saving grace would be, okay, so we didn't take the better prospect who went to the better school, who had the better production, and Justin Jefferson. At least Jalen Rager's father is a pro and played for the Eagles, so he'll have that mindset. He'll be ready for the toughness of Philadelphia. And he's just not.
Monte Rigger played defense back in the late 90s.
Yeah. He just doesn't have that same tune it out and go to work mindset.
Looking back in retrospect, he could have taken Jalen Rager probably in the fourth to later rounds.
Yeah.
I mean, there were a lot of guys that came out. T. Higgins, another stud.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to think of a few other guys that came out that I'm like, you know, besides Justin Jefferson. Like,
I mean, he's the biggest name that I honestly, if I would love to have been in the Vikings draft room, just sitting there and watching it. What were they thinking when they heard Jalen Rager's name being called?
They thought they got the wrong card. They're like, they said in the wrong card.
I know.
They must have put it in
a Steve Harvey moment.
No. I was sitting right here in my man cave, you know, since it was the beginning of COVID. Not that you could go anywhere at the time, but I was. How many of us Eagles fans were baffled?
Well,
I'll say this: I was shocked that they even took Jalen Hurts number 2.
I was just gonna say, you know, it was one thing when they took Rager, and then when the second pick comes around, you're like, okay, there's some good receivers still on the board here. Let's go. There's some Jalen Hurts. What?
Right.
Oh no! Oh, what does this mean?
I think they were really I think they were just over Carson Wentz at that point, though. I think they were done with him at that point.
Well, I'll say this: I was a big Wentz supporter, but then when he got benched for Hurts, you could just see the writing on the wall, and I lost respect for Carson Wentz because he didn't have a press conference at the end of the season. It was basically like, I don't want to get into the whole NBA with Ben Simmons, but it was basically the same story. Carson Wentz hightailed, I'm out of here. Like any quarterback that had a size of brass ones would have welcomed the competition.
Yeah.
I mean, any rookie quarterback, all right, the Bradys of the world, you know, and so on. We could sit here till the cows come home. But any quarterback that was drafted, that would be like, it's my job. You can try, my man. Bring your best shot. Any quarterback with any guts, Carson Wentz would have hightailed out of here. Just like the guy on the Brooklyn Nets now that come play for back reasons and depression.
I wanted to ask you about that, but I didn't know if that's a sore subject or not. I was going to ask you about how do you feel about the way he forced himself out of Philly, but I can tell it's a sore subject.
Well, it's null and void because it's a joke. I mean, if you're depressed, you're depressed. I have more respect for you. But, you showed up at training camp, then you left because, to me, he just wants to be in L.A. What you buy a $19 million house for out there? To go with those dingback Kardashians. And, at the time. And, he just didn't want to be. He's doing the same thing in Brooklyn. What? He's going to be a cancer in that organization.
I don't think they're going to keep him there. I think Ben's going to give in. I think they're going to get rid of him before the
Ben Simmons will be out of the NBA in the next 2 to 3 years.
But he'll be great in the big three.
Maybe.
I never saw the value in Ben Simmons. Everyone's like, oh, he's a great defender.
Oh, yeah. He's a phenomenal talent, but he shot himself in the foot. I mean, now, the rumors coming out that he wanted to, file a grievance against the Sixers with the $20 million or whatever. But here's my thing. You were raised in a basketball family. Your dad played in Australia. I mean, you're playing pickup games, shooting jumpers, looking like a phenomenal talent. But it's like, when they lost against Atlanta in round 1 last year, he just froze and passed the ball to Thibault underneath the net. And that, that basically put the icing on the cake.
I honestly think he might, if he needs to drop Clutch Sports. That's what he needs to do. He needs to get away from.
Oh yeah.
He needs to get away because they are ruining. And I'm gonna say this because I talked to a guy at work about this, and we talked about this, that LeBron's he's a cancer to teams with young talent. He's an extreme cancer. If your team has young talent and you bring him in, just understand that in a year or so
they're going to get traded away.
Gone, and then when he leaves, your team is going to be in shambles. Oh. So I think his agent is really encouraging Ben Simmons to be this way. Because they were saying that they wanted him for game 4, and then something happened, and he was still not ready, and his back this, and I think they're trying to pull some shit, and I don't know. This is gonna cost Ben Simmons his career. I definitely believe that much.
Oh, it's a shame because the guy's a phenomenal talent, but somebody's in your ear giving you some I mean, you're a grown man too. You've been in the league 5-6 years.
And going back to that mindset you need, I mean, look no further than the 2 quarterbacks the Eagles have on their roster right now. I mean, Jalen Hurts goes from the starter at Alabama to the backup at Alabama to the starter at Oklahoma. He's used to fighting for his job. Gardner Minshew, 6th round pick, claws his way to starting for Jacksonville, shows out, balls out, comes to Philadelphia thinking he'll maybe get a shot, does get a shot, balls out, back to the bench, So I love the way those guys are competing. They got that dog mindset. Mike, when it comes to the receiver core, obviously A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Zach Pascal, you're probably starting 3. Right. And then you got, Quez Watkins and Zach are probably going to split some snaps, and then that slot option. And then you're thinking,
don't forget Greg Ward.
And exactly,
they re-up too.
Well, that's where I wanted to go with it. So if you're deciding, are you keeping Greg Ward? Or are you keeping Hightower? What's the situation here? Because I mean, are you keeping 5 or 6? I mean, what do you want to do with that receiver there?
That's a good question. I believe they started with 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Going in the last. Well, Hightower was on the practice squad mainly last year.
Okay.
I mean, he was on the roster back in 2020 when they drafted him. I don't think he suited a lot, though.
But you like Ward over Hightower, right?
I would say because really Greg Ward's really the veteran of this receiving corps.
I think he's so underrated. I don't think people, some people appreciate him, but nobody the guy knows how to get open and catch the ball. And it's so underrated in the league.
He doesn't, his ass just like Boston Scott.
Yeah.
Boston Scott's, to me, was, another Darren Sproles 2.0. Probably not as big as, talk about a giant killer. Boston. But they need a power back. I mean, I thought Kenny Gainwell was going to be more of a factor in the running game last year and the offense, but it's like the thing that always got me with this offense, I don't want to go back to 2020, but Miles Sanders was running the ball 5 yards per carry.
Right.
And then you get away from it, and it's like, what the hell was Doug Peterson doing? Like, you got guys that are, like, pounding the rock, beating up defenses, wearing them down. Why get away from it?
No, absolutely.
It's just...
Yeah. And Nate, trust me, we're going to get to your Falcons. There's plenty I want to ask about your Falcons. But I do want to touch last thing I got to know from Mike. Well, not the last thing, probably. I keep saying that, but I keep asking more questions.
I don't want to hold you guys up. I don't
trust me.
On your show.
We are good, my friend. I've got to know, Avonte Maddox. What are your thoughts on Avonte? Is he someone you like as a starting nickel, a starting two? Do you not want him at either? I mean, what do you think about Avonte?
I think he's perfect in the slot.
Yeah.
I mean, the last couple of years when I went out to Green Bay to see the Eagles back in 19 and when he had that serious injury. I mean, I think he's come into his own. He had a great year last year under Jonathan Gannon. He stayed healthy. They rewarded him with the contract along with Dallas Goedert. I think that's perfect for him.
So you think you'd like to keep him in nickel and find out
slot.
if someone else, can do boundary.
Right. It's perfect right in the slot where he is.
Now, what about so that other safety spot? Would you like to see Kayvon with more snaps, or do you think Epps?
I thought Kayvon Wallace was going to be. I think he was hurt his rookie year in 20, but some of these guys just don't get on the field for whatever reason. And Epps. I mean, Epps was I believe they picked him up as a free agent, and he played nicely down the stretch because, like I said, he let Rodney McLeod go. He's went to Indianapolis and brought Anthony Harris back for whatever reason. I mean, I just think it. No, but the thing of it is, I mean, he just, I think I just brought him back because he knows the system Jonathan Gannon runs.
Yeah.
And, I mean, for that point, I'd probably bring Malcolm Jenkins out of retirement for 1 year and let him play.
I think they knew.
I'm not making a joke. Why not?
No, I think they knew that both McLeod and Harris were not serviceable in this defense anymore, but you can't admit failure on both. So
I'm kind of surprised they kept McLeod for as long as they did because the last 2 to 3 years he was coming off ACL injuries.
Yeah,
and nice like to thank Rodney McLeod for his services being back there in the secondary with Malcolm Jenkins bringing us the Super Bowl. But, I mean, in a way, I think I would have rather brought McLeod back and let Harris walk. But who the heck wants Harris? He was out there for the longest time, and the Eagles just probably signed him like a month and a half ago.
Yeah. Hopefully, a year or two being, like you said, he knows the system and I don't know, maybe with the more variable pieces now, with Hassan Reddick being able to actually rush the passer, we see better results. But
but you need somebody back there, especially with the deep ball.
With some range, yeah.
I mean, like I said, Darius Slay, 31, 32 years old. He's not going to be here forever.
Yeah. Well, and, Nate, you've been patient. I do want to mention the Eagles UDFAs. Mike mentioned Mario Goodrich from Clemson earlier. I thought that was a great pick. He was definitely had a draftable grade on him. So to be able to pick him up undrafted, crazy. Josh Jobe from Alabama, another corner. Some people say 4th round grade who went undrafted. I don't know if he's going to convert to safety or not. People say that like, oh, he played corner, but he could play safety. It didn't work out with Jalen Mills. It didn't work out with another guy I had in mind Avonte Maddox. And I just don't think Josh Jobe is going to be able to so smoothly transition to safety either. So they picked up Reed Blankenship. He's an actual safety from Middle Tennessee. maybe he's Daniel Sorensen and actually finds some playing time, or maybe I'm just making a lazy white guy
I would never
comparison. But
compare anybody to Daniel Sorensen ever. Daniel
listen,
Sorensen is a liability in coverage, and Tyrann Mathieu will testify to that.
but
I've seen
but
many of plays with Tyrann Mathieu standing like this.
but Daniel Sorensen also forces fumbles and gets a pick six. So you live and die by those type of guys.
You guys will probably know college better than me.
No, that's so the UDFA's. I'm pretty happy about that. Noah Ellis, another huge guy, should help in the rotation. But anyways, Nate, Atlanta, Drake London, obviously a huge pick. Curious to
pick.
see what you think about him because we did talk about him a little bit. But I'm even more curious to know: can Desmond Ridder unseat Marcus Mariota as the Atlanta starting quarterback this year?
That's my thought, but I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think Arthur Smith's going to rush it. I think he's going to let Marcus Mariota take over the offense. Now, if it happens naturally where Desmond Ridder comes in, he picks up the playbook and he plays better than Marcus Mariota, it's possible, very, very possible, but I don't see it happening. I personally, like I said, for me, this whole draft I would have to say they did great this year. This is the first time I've sat through a Falcons draft and was not like wanting to pull my hair out or take a baseball bat to my TV screen.
I wanted to do that many times.
To be honest, I'm just like last year. I understood Kyle Pitts, but at the same time, I felt like there was a much bigger need than a tight end. And I get he's a unicorn tight end, but at the same time, I feel like there was a much bigger need that needed to be filled. But this year, we didn't reach for anything. We stayed patient. We got Drake London. Obviously his comp is Mike Evans. He's not very fast, big body, strong hands, big target for red zone. So he's going to be the Mike Evans for the Falcons. The 2 second round picks we got, dude, I love those picks.
I love them.
I absolutely love them. We needed help with the pass rush because we hadn't had a pass rush since
John Abraham.
No, Rick Beasley was probably the last double-figure sack person we've had on our team, and that was in 2016, which was a very long time ago. So I actually do like the picks.
Don't remind me of the good years, back when America was great again.
The most interesting pick that I saw was Troy Anderson. He was the most interesting pick just based on that he went from
That's right.
Star at running back.
Yeah.
He was a star at quarterback, and he was a star at linebacker. And he posted, I think, one of the fastest linebacker times with a 4.4 at the combine. So I think they're gonna find ways to use him. I just hope they don't overuse him, like they did with like the Saints do with what's his name?
DeMarco or Demario Davis.
No, not him. The other guy, the guy that's a tight end but plays quarterback.
Oh, Hill.
Yes, yeah. So yes, he obviously he was a star at quarterback and he was a star at running back. So I just hope that they use him sparingly. But I think he's going to be mostly for, if anything, I think he's going to be more of a third down like pass rush situation type guy. Because he played pretty well in college, but I don't see him being like your Deion Jones, your three down linebacker. He's gonna be a situational guy.
I think he can turn into that. And fun fact, wears the same number as Deion Jones.
Well, I mean, we'll see. We'll see what Dean Pease has in store for him. I'm gonna be honest. I enjoyed the entire draft. Like, as far as like everything that we did, we went in with a plan and we stuck to it. We didn't do anything stupid. We didn't trade up for anybody. We sat there and everybody we wanted was there. So it's going to be an interesting season. I don't know as far as receivers go because I mean, Drake London and Kyle Pitts are going to be fine, but we don't have a number two. We don't have a number two receiver. Our running backs are Cordero Patterson, but you can only do so much. You don't want to overuse him.
That's your number two right there.
True, but he's a running back. You don't want to overuse him because that's when the injuries strike. And then, I think he had an ankle injury last year, and it's just you don't want to overuse these guys. It was 18 games. This is 18 weeks.
Yeah.
You want to give them you don't want to overuse these guys. So my biggest question is Marcus Mariota. That's going to be my biggest question. Is it going to be a Tannehill situation, or is this going to be Marcus Mariota proving to everyone that he shouldn't have been the number one draft pick?
Well, is this going to be, are we going to win just enough games to take us out of quarterback, area, or is he going to actually suck and put us in, so that's kind of an interesting thing too. You could win just enough games to be out of target, for Bryce Young or CJ Stroud. So that's kind of an interesting thing too.
I think Desmond Ridder was drafted. I think Desmond Ridder was drafted to be that guy. But Arthur Smith, he's a genius as far as quarterbacks goes. I mean, hell, everybody thought Ryan Tannehill was a bum. Let's just be honest. Nobody saw Tannehill turning his career around. So,
hang on now. I think Adam Gase had a lot to do with that.
Oh yeah.
We're not gonna blame. So you're gonna blame Adam Gase for this?
You can blame Adam Gase for Jarvis Landry, for Kenyon Drake, for Ryan Tannehill,
and the list goes on and on.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, what did they sign Mariota for? 2 years, 3 years?
Yeah, they gave him a 2-year deal. I think it's more of like he was the better option at quarterback that was available. So They were just, and then he knows Arthur Smith, so they're very familiar with one another. So I think that was another reasoning. But I kind of figured we were going to take a quarterback. But remember what I told you? Remember we talked about this last week that everybody was so up on Malik Willis. And I told you, there was no way he was going in the first round. There was no way, absolutely no way he was making the first round. And everybody was somebody was like, well, why? Because Kenny Pickett, out of every quarterback in this draft, was the most NFL ready. And that's what every team wants. They want an NFL ready quarterback, especially a team like Pittsburgh. They need that. They need a guy that's ready to go.
I got to ask you guys. You show up for the first round of the NFL draft. You think you're going to get picked. You don't get picked. Mike, I'll start with you. What are you eating for comfort food that night?
I don't know if I'm eating at all. I'm probably sitting there like, what the hell is going on? What am I here for?
Nate, we going to Baskin Robbins or what?
Probably got to go find something to drown my sorrows in, something simple, nothing too crazy. Because I mean, you think about it, like it's you anticipating going in the first round. That's why you're here.
You got all dressed up. Yeah, you bought the suit.
Yeah, and you're sitting here, you're watching all these other guys leave the green room. You're seeing all these guys leave, and then you're still sitting there, and it's just like time is getting later and later. Now we had pick 30. We had pick 31, and I'm still sitting here. And now 32 going. I'm still sitting here. It's just.
It's like
I couldn't imagine it.
It's like the last kid being chosen on, choosing up sides.
Yeah,
right.
I didn't get picked. What am I still sitting here for?
And then you gotta come back the next day and sit there. Like what was it? Brees Hall. He was in Vegas, and I think he got taken in the second round. So. He actually left his hotel to go to where they were doing the draft to get his moment. And you know, you gotta. I mean, if I'm there, I'm gonna go get my moment. I'm going.
Oh, of course. It's one of the biggest moments of your life.
Oh yeah, and Nate, you guys got Ebiketie, probably my favorite edge rusher in the whole draft. Love Arnold Ebiketie. Hopefully, he's not
some more research on him. I got to do some more research. I've seen a couple of him because I watched a couple Penn State games this year, and he flashed a little bit. But I got to go back, but to just see like just to watch some of his film. But I think he's gonna make an immediate impact on our line. Honestly, he's gonna be one of those guys that's gonna come in and just immediately make a name for himself.
No doubt, no doubt.
Dylan,
But,
go ahead. I want to get into some of you guys.
No, you go ahead.
Since Nate, since you're a Falcons fan and Dylan, you're a fellow Eagles fan, let's talk about the Calvin Ridley situation. I mean, do we have AJ? Do we have Calvin? Do we get AJ Brown if we have Calvin Ridley?
No way. No way. Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, we did out of good faith. We didn't trade him to y'all out of good faith because we knew what was getting ready to happen to him.
Yeah, okay.
So, that's why we didn't trade him to you because we were supposed.
I'm just glad you're not the Texans and you're like, he's been in a few massage parlors. Yeah.
Because we were supposed to, because that was the talk, because they were going to just say we were just going to kind of wash our hands of him.
Right.
He was just becoming more of a hassle than he was worth. But I guess they caught wind of the investigation and they kind of knew that the suspension was coming. So I think once the suspension's over, I think he's definitely going to get traded.
My thing is, you guys may know this better than me, but is he technically, since he was suspended for this season coming up, is he technically an unrestricted free agent next year, or is he still on 1 year left on his contract?
That's a very good question. I think he may. I don't know how the NFL do suspensions and if they count them as a year. They may not. They may, but honestly, we're not going to get. If anything, at best, we probably get a 4th round for him because of his stupid shit.
Why does it seem like, the last couple of years with the Falcons, all right, Julio was basically, I believe he wanted out. I mean, Matt Ryan's time has come and gone. He's with Indy now. Why? Russell Gage apparently went to Tampa.
Yeah, that.
Like, what scene? Was it just the changing of the guard down there, or?
It's the culture, honestly. If you go back as far as, it started with Mike Smith. That's when things started. Mike Smith, when they brought him in and Thomas Dimitroff was the GM, they brought a culture to this team that was just, there was not a lot. It wasn't a winning culture.
Right.
Let's just put it that way. There wasn't a winning culture, and you saw it for a lot of it. There was a lot of games that we had. Like, I can go back to when we played Seattle in the playoffs the year we had Mike Smith. Hell, we almost blew that lead. And then we went and played San Francisco the year they went to the Super Bowl. We had the lead and ended up blowing it and losing. And again, missing the opportunity at the Super Bowl. Mike Smith had a couple good years, but he wasn't the coach for us. And then Thomas Dimitroff, he was a shit GM. I'm just going to be honest. The best thing that he's ever done was draft Julio and Matt Ryan. Everybody else was just shit. Jake Matthews is okay, but he was a terrible GM. I wish we would have never drafted Big Beasley. I feel like they were way better defenders that year, and the fact that we took him at 8. It was either 6 or 8. We took him, and we shouldn't have took him. There was better defenders. And now that we got a new GM and Arthur Smith, I think they're changing the culture, but I think it was too little, too late for Julio. After the Super Bowl, it left a real bad taste in his mouth.
Right.
And it just like we could never get back. We could never get over that hump. And it was a lot of bad things that happened. It was just like he had enough. And I get it. You're at the end of your career and you want to win a championship. I completely understand. So when he left, I wasn't upset, but I got it. I understood it. And these guys, that's what they play for. They play to win championships. So the Matt Ryan thing should have happened last year. To be honest,
Right.
they should have went and traded him last year and gave him his opportunity to explore whatever, and we should have had Justin Fields coming in this year. I think Julio would have stayed if we'd have got Justin Fields, but because we didn't and we chose to stay with Matt Ryan, they kind of soured that relationship with Julio. So it's at this point, it was just more of like everyone's tired of losing. They're tired of now that these players have more of a voice and wanting to be traded or wanting to stay. They have more of a voice now. So now it's to a point where if I don't want to be here, I don't want to be here. Let me go. So, and I think honestly, that's what it was. And Matt Ryan, as much as they can say, well, it was his choice. No. Arthur Smith said that he was the starter. No one believed that. I didn't believe that.
Right.
I knew at some point he was going to be out. I just didn't know when.
Well, I just saw today the Falcons cut Mike Davis. Can you touch on that?
So Mike Davis. So when Christian McCaffrey got hurt, Mike Davis took over and he balled out. So the Falcons, in theory, thought, hey, let's bring this guy in and maybe he can bring that same spark that he brought for the Panthers. No, he didn't do it. He didn't do it for us. He missed the mark. We missed the mark signing him, and I'm kind of happy we got rid of him because he was supposed to be that short. He was supposed to be our Marshawn Lynch, basically. The short,
Right.
the third and inches, the fourth and goal, like right there on the one. He was supposed to be that guy, and it didn't pan out. Just like Todd Gurley didn't pan out. So we have an issue with running backs. We've had, since the last good running back we had was Tevin Coleman and Devontae Freeman. And then ever since then, we've just been struggling to find running backs. So
I thought you were going to go back to the days of Turner, the Burner.
Oh, Michael Turner. I love Michael Turner.
He was a beast.
My favorite backs were Warwick Dunn, TJ Duckett, and Michael Turner. Those are my three favorite Falcon backs.
Michael Vick was probably my favorite Falcons running back.
Shut your mouth.
Hey, Michael Vick was a phenomenal player in Atlanta.
Absolutely. All the jerseys down there. All those black flat brim caps with the black Falcon that gets sold down there because of Mike Vick. Get out of here.
Dude, it was that year was great. I hate the reason why I have this love-hate relationship with the Eagles is because they cost me. Because I felt like we could have beat the Patriots that year, but I kind of still hate Donovan McNabb for. Honestly, I hate Brian Dawkins, to be honest.
He knocked Crumpler over the middle.
Exactly.
I was at that game.
I hate
you heard that hit right over the middle. That was a statement hit.
I at that day was the day I resented Brian Dawkins. So I still don't like Brian Dawkins. So
I don't want to really get into it or rub it in, but there's a picture of Brian Dawkins on my arm.
Oh, snap. Got Weapon X right on the arm there.
Yeah, Weapon X, all right.
That was the statement of that game. Like Doc said, I wanted to set the tone early, and he
set
did.
the tone, and that hit was so good. They even put it in the Madden game. They literally, it was like I couldn't live it down. And the fact that we lost to the Eagles and a chance to go to the Super Bowl I hate the Eagles. Like every time we get a chance to play them, I make it a point to sit and watch that game. Like my favorite one is when we spoiled Vic's homecoming. That was my favorite one. That one and what was it? The screenplay to Julio at the end of the game.
Yeah.
I'm sure you remember.
Yeah, I recall.
That's enough.
Yeah, but I was at the Lincoln.
It's funny because, the Falcons and Mike Vick and all that sort of thing, but I always love in a league filled with mostly black guys when you go to Atlanta and you see all the Patrick Kearney jerseys. Or what makes me laugh the most is when you see Dallas Mavericks Steve Nash jersey. And you're like, wow, you picked the only one, huh? That's just amazing. Those guys have a huge impact. I always love seeing Steve Nash jerseys and Patrick Kearney jerseys.
Hey, Patrick Kearney was a big. Him and Keith Brooking had a big following back when they were in Atlanta.
You damn right. Oh, and hits. When it comes to hits, that's why I was going. Didn't mean to go on a racist thing. Sorry, Nate. Yeah.
What about D'Angelo Hall?
Oh, absolutely.
I love D'Angelo Hall when he was there. When he was there, and that again, that's where the corners, we never really had. He was probably one of our more physical corners that we've had in a while. Obviously, AJ Terrell is probably the best corner no one talks about. He had a great year last year as far as yardage, touchdowns. He had a great year, but because our record, it kind of buries what he did.
I will forever hate AJ Terrell, no matter what he does. I will forever hate AJ Terrell because the Falcons were selfish when they took AJ Terrell. They could have easily traded that pick to the Eagles, and the Eagles would have been able to take CeeDee Lamb, but they just had to stay there and fucking take AJ Terrell for no reason. He would have been there at 22. He would have been there. But
he wouldn't have been. See, that's the thing. When you have players like that, you don't want to take chances on can he be here? Like this year, quarterbacks, everybody knew quarterbacks were going to be there late second, third, maybe even fourth round. AJ Terrell was a guy that was he really going to be there? Was it really a chance we had to take?
He would have been there.
2019 draft, correct?
Why didn't y'all trade up to get CeeDee Lamb then?
I'm sure they tried. Apparently, AJ Terrell was just the cream of the crop.
Oh, believe me, I wanted CeeDee Lamb in the worst way.
God, that's why the Jalen Hurts pick was kind of like, all right, well, you can't have them both, so suck it, Cowboys.
Right.
It'll get better. I mean, if you look at it now, the Cowboys had a subpar draft. They didn't draft anything spectacular, so
No, hang on now. You're missing the irony in the most penalized team in the NFL drafting the most penalized player in college football.
And also, they did the most Cowboys thing ever. They took the player with off-field issues.
Oh, they always do. Yeah, but I don't want to get bashed for saying this, but hey, why not take a chance on a guy if he might have off the field issues?
I don't know. Randy Gregory, for example, who was another player that they took that had off-field issues. I mean, hell, they dealt with Terrell Owens for X amount of years. Jerry Jones liked players with off-the-field issues.
Yeah, but the thing was, T.O. never had any off-the-field issues. Off the field, he was a model citizen.
Yeah, sit-ups in your driveway is not off-the-field issues.
Huh?
What's that?
Sit-ups in your driveway are not off-the-field issues.
Yeah, but if you really want to go back to that era, I mean, we could really dive into that. I mean, Drew Rosenhaus really stirred up the shit there. I mean,
that was
I blame both sides, but when you look back when Eagles made that trade to get T.O., the union president told him not to sign the deal with the Eagles, and he signed it anyway. His own agent, that was a good friend of his who he fired for Drew Rosenhaus, told him don't sign the 7-year, $49 million deal, but he still did it.
I feel like they would have had a great relationship. It's just his ego. Him and McNabb probably had I feel like they should have had magic there. I really do.
I mean, hey, you look back at McNabb's stats. That was the best year of his career. I mean, really, what trash did McNabb really have here? Besides Pinkston, Kevin Curtis, Dante Stallworth for a year. A bunch of bums. I mean, you figure by the time McNabb was done, they pretty much had Macklin and they had Deshaun Jackson, but the writing was already on the wall.
Nate, I don't know if you remember James Thrash, but he was tearing it up in this day.
I do remember James Thrash.
A guy by the name of Freddie Mitchell.
Let me just say, Chad Johnson, Steve Smith, Reggie Wayne. Sure, there was a couple other guys in that crop from 2001 that,
And I assume these are guys y'all passed on to.
yeah, just to name a few.
Listen, we could have had Roddy White took the other player that year. You know, it is what it is.
What year was Roddy White drafted?
Was he 2000?
Oh man,
He was 2005. I want to say 2005, 2006. Because he was there briefly. I think he was there briefly for Vic. I think he was there. He was there before Vic went to jail.
Here's the name. Here's the name I'll throw. Here's the name I'll throw at you, Nate. From about the Michael Vick era, Peerless Price.
Oh, the former Buffalo Bill. Yes, yeah. I enjoyed that guy. Him and Brian Finneran were underrated duo. I really feel like they were completely underrated.
Brian Finneran was originally, I believe, was an undrafted free agent by the Eagles and went to Villanova up here in Philly or outside of Philly.
They played great together. It just, again, like it was one of those things. Obviously, I think we had Dan Reeves at the time, and it just was a lot of like, we just couldn't. We had talent, we just for whatever reason couldn't put the shit together. Like we just defensively, we had guys like Patrick Kearney, Keith Brooking. We had Ray Buchanan. We had guys on defense. We just couldn't, for whatever reason, put the shit together and make it look pretty on TV.
John Abraham.
Yeah, that guy I feel like all those guys wasted their careers with us. Because hell, John Abraham even came back and still wasted the end of his career with us. I just feel like we just waste people's career for no reason.
So Mike, obviously, you know, the Cowboys won the East last year. After this draft, it's tough to make predictions so far out ahead, but do you feel like we have enough on the roster now to claim the East?
Well, I mean, you look at some of their off-season moves. You know, Gregory did a 360 and bowled it for Denver. Way to go. No love lost here. Lyle Collins got picked up by Cincinnati. They traded Amari Cooper to Cleveland. I mean, I don't really know how their draft really looks. I really didn't dissect it, but you know, Dak seems to find a way to choke. But I mean, Dallas, they haven't done anything, and you know, you could go 13-3, 14-2, but you know, I mean, that 49ers playoff game was pretty close. Especially there at the end when they tried to hike the ball and the ref picked it up. Kudos to the ref there for trying to spot the ball. But they, you know, it's a talented team, but that's the owner. I mean, I think their drafts are pretty solid, but McCarthy to me is a buffoon.
Oh, complete.
I mean, you and me, the three of us probably could have coached that Packers Super Bowl team, the McCarthy.
Absolutely. Even with the injuries.
Right.
Yeah, special teams.
Even with the injuries.
However you want to coach. But, I mean, you know what? Here's a scenario, and I kind of thought of this when Sean Payton stepped down, you know, a couple months back. I don't know if he's going into the booth or whatever, but I could see him sitting out just waiting till his contract's up and going with Dallas, or maybe trading the rights of Sean Payton to Dallas. But I could see that happening.
I think that's what they wanted initially, but because he wasn't ready to leave just yet, they had to go with McCarthy. So now that I think at some point, if they have another, and Stephen A does it best. Stephen A predicts the Cowboy season every year. He tells you wait till December and January, and they're gonna disappoint you. And
that's when they choke.
And I think that if that happens again, I think McCarthy's gonna be gone, and I think they're gonna make a run at Sean Payton.
I wouldn't be shocked because they always said Jerry Jones and Sean Payton were pretty good friends when Peyton was an assistant under Bill Parcells.
Absolutely. Mr. Fuji, Mike, you said you would give us 15 to 20. We milked you for an hour and
That's
a
right.
half almost, my friend. I appreciate you
Anytime.
giving up your time.
Hey, appreciate the invite.
Absolutely. I'm glad we're 3 episodes
Always.
in, like we said. Glad to have a new friend of the show. This is great. Hope to have you on for another episode.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, hey, I'm always up to talk shop.
Awesome, man. Well, please remind the listeners, where can we find you and when can we find you?
You can find us Tuesdays and Thursdays, 8 p.m. on all platforms, Facebook, Twitter, all your social media outlets. We'll be on tomorrow night and Thursday night, 8 o'clock. I think I already said that. You can also find us on BroadStreetSouth.com. Check us out. I believe we're going into our 133rd episode tomorrow. So tune in. We'll be on Facebook. I'll be sharing it out. Be on all the Eagles group pages and Twitter. Look me up and Mike Fuji Mike on Twitter. Angel Martinez, my co-host. You can also find him under Broad Street South Pod on Twitter as well. So everybody tune in. We hope to get more of an audience. So it's been a pleasure, talking with you guys for an hour and a half. Love it. I mean, hey, I could sit here another hour and just die. Hey, when it really starts heating up, we could really, make these predictions. When the schedule's out and hey, I'll come back on and definitely dissect the schedule.
I love it.
Next, the 12th, right? Next Thursday?
Yeah, 10 days. T-minus 10.
Awesome. Well, thank you, sir. We really appreciate it. Mike,
what nights are you guys on? Monday?
We're going to be on, yes, every Monday night at 9:30. It's going to get tricky when the season rolls around, with the Monday night games, but we'll just do live.
I feel like Monday's easier because, obviously we'll recap, Sunday's game and then make predictions for the Monday night game and then kind of just, I guess, talk as the game is going on, stuff like that. So we're still working out the kinks.
Hey, it takes time, hey, you guys have need help or whatever, I'm here. If you need me on, whatever. I'll be happy to come on Monday nights with you guys. Actually, the recap on Broad Street South, we do an Eagles pregame show every Sunday during the season.
Oh, nice.
Usually around 11:30 before kickoff or an hour and a half prior to kickoff. So, yeah, I'd be happy to come on,
Awesome.
Especially now that the schedule's coming out and it's like one of the better times of the year. And everybody's picking their 17 games, who's doing what and who's beating who and what other games will get wrong during the schedule. It's just a fun time. I mean, I love my Phillies, Sixers, Flyers. I don't know where they're heading, but
I can tell you your Sixers got their asses politely handed to them tonight. So.
No, without the MVP. I mean,
yeah, and that was the biggest thing is like, how are they going to fare without Joel until Game 3?
Yeah.
No, I mean they stayed with them at least 3 quarters, but I guess the bottom just fell out.
It happens.
Mean, we'll see. I mean, if they could get one of these, if they can get Game 2 and then come back to Philly and get Joe back in that lineup, I mean, it's going to be a completely different Sixers team.
Better watch out, Heat. Eagles are coming for you. I mean, Sixers. Wow, look at me. Eagles are coming for you. The Sixers are coming for you. We're all coming for you.
Well, like I said, we could talk football, fantasy football, whatever. I mean, there's nothing like the NFL.
Hell yeah.
Nobody reigns head and shoulders above the other 3, top sports. But football, the NFL is it. Just to touch on the NFL, don't know if you guys heard that there's probably going to be like 2 or 3 games on Christmas.
Yeah,
Going to give the NBA a run for their money.
Yeah, I saw that they're expanding their Christmas lineup, which is good. Like, because honestly, I like basketball, but I prefer football on Christmas. I prefer Christmas.
I mean, it's something like football and Thanksgiving. I mean, besides, who the hell wants to see the Detroit Lions?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm so glad you said that.
They just need not to force feed us bullshit like they did last year. Because
Yes.
I think last year they were just more of a like, you know what, y'all need to spend time with your family. Just go sit and talk to your family. We're gonna give you these bullshit games that no one wants to watch.
I forget who even played.
I think it was the Raiders played. Well, obviously Detroit and the Cowboys. I just don't know who they played. So, oh wait, the Raiders played the Cowboys.
I think the Raiders beat the Cowboys on
They did. They absolutely did. So.
Now I remember that. Yeah.
So
can't forget that game.
What's
the rub in the Cowboy fans?
But for whatever reason, the Lions get to play on Thanksgiving every year. Why we don't know. We don't know.
Probably because it goes back to them, and at least I don't know if it was them and the Bears, like way back when the NFL first started.
It's time for them to move on from that tradition. Let the Lions rest on Christmas.
Well, we used to be thankful for Detroit for making cars, but that's not a thing anymore.
No.
Oh, no, I recall the Eagles beating the Cowboys on Christmas. Season's beatings, Jeff Garcia. Well, Chip Kelly beat Dallas on Thanksgiving. I think that was like 2014.
That's music to my ears. I love it. I love the memories and reminiscing when Dallas loses.
It's always a beautiful thing.
Mike, you've been everything we could ask for and a guest and more, my friend. I cannot wait to have you back on, sir.
My pleasure anytime. Hey, you guys hit me up. You know, like I said, tune in tomorrow, tune in Thursday.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. Broad Street South, Mike Fuji.
Like I say, you guys need any help, whatever, Angel and I and myself are here, so go Cowboys.
Wow. You even made him say it.
Well, no, we always say in Philly, the cockroaches come out of the woodwork. All those cockroach fans.
Mike, thank you so much, my friend.
No, thank you. Thanks, for your time, and let's dive into what that schedule comes in. I'll be circling those Cowboy-Eagles matchups, so you ain't kicking our asses this year by a total of 92 points. That ain't happening. Stick that in your pipe and smoke.
You have a good night, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah. You're welcome. My pleasure, fellas.
Later, man. Oh, dang. Mike Fuji of Broad Street South.
Absolutely, bro. That was nice.
Dude, that guy.
It's a good conversation.
I love it. He's probably still waiting right now. Like, damn, they kicked me out early. I was ready to keep going.
Yeah, bro. I felt like we could have kept going. Like we could talk for like 2 hours. Because initially you told me 9:45.
Bro, I was like, this guy's ready for 15 to 20, and then we're good.
Yeah, and then he was just like, he just kept talking. I was like, oh shit, okay, let's keep talking.
Dude, I love it, man. Episode 3, we got guests who are coming back. We got return guests. We got guys who just can't wait to talk to us already. TJ's like, guys, I'm not even gonna be on this week. Just screw you guys. I'll be doing my thing. And we got a brand new guy who's like, you know what? I'll be third leg. Screw this TJ guy.
No, man, I dude, like I said, dude, now Mondays and Tuesdays are kind of like what I look forward to now. This I can talk, dude. We can talk sports all day. Like I literally can do this all day. So, this is fun. This is absolutely fun.
You gotta have time for the bros. You gotta bro out.
Absolutely. And then, especially when it comes to sports, there's a lot of bad things happening right now. And I want to bring up, I want to get your opinion. Because like I said, I'm going to say night 1 was probably the most exciting night I've seen in a draft in a very long time. Crazy. The trades were just crazy.
Crazy.
Obviously, the A.J. Brown trade, the
Yes.
Hollywood Brown trade was all.
Yes.
And now Hollywood Brown is now being forced into the starting lineup. Well, the number one guy role now. Now that DeAndre Hopkins is suspended for 6 games.
Hashtag fantasy football. Get in on that Hollywood Brown action.
So do you
you
draft
know
DeAndre,
AJ Green.
do you
What?
draft DeAndre Hopkins and let him sit on your bench for 6 weeks? Or do you just let him sit in free agency? What do you do? But so the thing was, so with Hollywood Brown is he's now in a more physical division as far as corners go. I don't think he's going to be as effective now that DeAndre Hopkins is suspended. He's gonna get Jalen Ramsey twice a year. He's gonna see Jalen Ramsey twice this season. He's gonna see the best corners because AJ Green. They're not gonna put their best guy on AJ Green. They're gonna put him on him, and when he's up against a physical corner, he's non-existent. And I think that's why the Ravens are so okay with letting him go.
It will be interesting. He's going to have to be more methodical with the Ravens, because they're such a good running offense. You can do play action, and then if he's one-on-one with a guy, he's going to outrun him. A deep crosser or whatever. That's where he got a lot of the big plays was play action, deep crosser stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So now when you have a spread offense where it's more West Coast, it's more intermediate routes, it's more hooks, digs, things like that. I mean, yeah, it'll be interesting. And like you said, if he's going to have the number one corner on him, obviously they have Rondale Moore, their draft pick from last year, and we'll see what he does. And then, I mean, Christian Kirk's gone.
AJ Green. Christian Kirk's gone. They have AJ Green, and we all know AJ Green don't have much left in the tank. And so I don't know. I think DeAndre Hopkins getting suspended was kind of a shocker. Honestly, when I saw it earlier, it was kind of a shocker. So I don't think he's going to be very effective until DeAndre Hopkins comes back. Because clearly DeAndre Hopkins gets the best corners. He gets the most attention, which will free up people like AJ Green and Hollywood Brown to do what they do best. But he's not going to be very successful, at least for the first 6 weeks.
And I mean, DeAndre, I don't know if Hollywood can't do it, but DeAndre is just so good at 50-50 balls,
Okay. Absolutely. If I had to throw it, I'm throwing it his way, 100%. I don't care how many people is running, I'm throwing him the ball. At some point, he's going to come down with him, throwing him the ball. But no, he don't come down with the 50-50 balls. Like I said, if the moment you get a physical corner on him, he off the game.
Now, as a Falcons fan, let's talk about your division rivals. Obviously, the Buccaneers, barring some sort of injury, they'll be in the postseason, right? But Panthers, and don't say they're punch a ticket for the playoffs for the Buccaneers. But the Panthers nor the Saints, if I'm mistaken, took a quarterback, right?
Neither one of them took a quarterback.
So that's very interesting.
The Panthers took a lineman. They took I can't pronounce that kid's name.
They took Cross, didn't they? Oh, Ekwonu.
No, they took the other one with the I.
Yeah, Ekwonu.
Yeah, they took him. As far as
it's made from guano.
As far as their draft,
guano sounds so familiar.
Panthers draft goes, I was surprised. I thought they were going to take a quarterback, but I think that they're probably going to stick with Sam Darnold. And that's just me being honest. I think they're going to stick with Sam Darnold. I don't see them. I mean, they could bring back Cam. I don't know. I honestly thought they were going to try to get rid of Christian McCaffrey, to be honest.
Yeah.
And try to see if they can get another first round and maybe take the lineman and a quarterback. But Kenny Pickett was probably the only NFL ready quarterback that I would have took in the first round. Because the rest of them, I wouldn't have wasted the first round draft pick on him.
I don't want to say anything that makes me sound stupid, but I've been a big Matt Corral fan, but he's definitely not a first round pick.
Nah.
And didn't I think the Panthers did
No,
end
the Panthers
up
did
picking
take
him, right?
The Panthers took him. Yeah, they took him in the 3rd or 4th round. So we all know he's not going to compete for the job right away. He's probably going to be there just in case Sam Darnold gets hurt or Sam Darnold just starts playing like a fucking idiot.
Now, here's a question that fans of this particular show are going to love because we all know you and your love for Cam. Is Matt Corral right now better than Cam Newton?
As far as what are we talking about? Like,
let's say you need to start a game week 1 and you can choose between your rookie Matt Corral and everything you know about him and Cam Newton right now and everything you know about him.
I would start with Cam. The only reason why I would say that is because the veteran experience. Because
you heard it, folks. You heard it.
a lot of times you put these kids out there that aren't like, yeah, he played in the SEC. Yeah, he had this West Coast offense, but a lot of times that doesn't translate over into the league. So camera shy, having stage fright, that's a real thing. And it can happen to quarterbacks, especially young quarterbacks. They get out there and they freeze up. They make mistakes. Your first interception, that shit's going to kill your confidence. And then you're just like, well, what the fuck do I do now? Especially if you're not like, you're not being coached that way. And me personally, I would stick with Sam Darnold. As bad as he is, I would stick with him until I feel like Matt Corral is ready. But it's going to be a while before he's ready.
Who would you peg right now as second place in that division?
Second place?
I mean, again, Tampa Bay.
Obviously, you got Tampa, obviously. And Tom Brady brought his bitch ass back. So there's that. that automatically gives you the step up, one step up on everybody else. I'm going to, I know this is not a bias, but I'm going to say the Falcons. And the reason I'm saying the Falcons is this. It's because, A, the Saints have a new head coach. And I can't think of his name. The fuck is his name?
Dennis Allen?
Yes, Dennis Allen. He's their new head coach. You got Jameis coming off an ACL injury. So we're going to see how they play out. They did draft Chris Olave from Ohio State. So they added another guy to go with Mike Thomas. Obviously, you still got Alvin Kamara. The defense is a bit in shambles. So honestly,
I think you're missing something there. The defense is pretty damn solid.
Not at the oh fuck yeah, I forgot they just signed Tyrann Mathieu. I forgot about that.
They got Matthew over the top of Demario Davis, over the top of Cam Jordan and Marcus Davenport.
Cam Jordan is on his last leg. He's on borrowed time. So
Peyton Turner and Marshawn Lattimore.
Those guys, they got beat a lot last year. Marshawn Lattimore, he was burnt toast a couple games last year, so I'm not too concerned about that. Honestly, but you also got to think about it. I mean, offensively, you got to figure where are they going to be at offensively. How is Dennis Allen offense going to play into? Is he going to keep Sean Payton's playbook? Is he going to bring his own style in? What is he going to do? I feel like if you look at it complete team-wise, obviously Arthur Smith's coming into his second season. Marcus Mariota, he's a veteran in the league. We got, offensively, I feel like we're a little bit better than the Saints. Obviously, they got Alvin Kamara, so you don't know how Chris Olave is going to play out.
Right.
And you got the slant man himself and Michael Thomas, who
I'm the slant man. That's
all he's good for. He's a slant man. So, It's gonna be fun to watch. I don't think Carolina's gonna have a play in anything. I don't, unless fucking Matt Corral just said he pulls a Tom Brady and comes in and just dominates the league, which I don't think they're gonna do as far as offense goes. But you never know.
I think it's gonna be. Right now, I put my money on the Saints just because of like overall roster.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the idea of putting my money in a Jameis Winston basket.
I can't do it.
That's
I
like
couldn't do it last year.
that's like here's putting $100 bill in a slot machine.
Because
Ding!
remember they went and they blew out Green Bay, right? And then they lost a bunch of games after. And then James obviously went down with the ACL injury in the Tampa game. So I don't think they were going to do anything anyway. But it's Jameis. It's Jameis Winston. And now that you don't have Sean Payton is a guru as far as offense, as far as offensive playmaking, his creativity for offensive plays. Dennis Allen, at one point, was he a head coach at one point? I think he was a head coach at one point.
I think he was.
I think he was for the Rams at like
Raiders?
early Rams, like the early 2000s, I think.
Raiders.
But I don't see him. He's not Sean Payton. Let's put it to you like that. Yeah. Sean Payton was the savior to that city, and I don't think he is going to be able to bring what they need. They're going to miss Sean Payton. There's going to be a big-ass hole in that organization that Dennis Allen won't be able to fill.
Yeah, I mean, I love Olave. I love them getting Penning to fill, hopefully, fill the hole of Teron Armstead. Great left tackle who's now in Miami. But, yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I love it all. I love the number 2 competition in the South, man. It's going to be so interesting to watch Marcus Mariota battle Jameis Winston, battle Sam Darnold. I mean, these are like some high profile.
Why you have to say it like that?
These are some high profile.
Awful.
Think about this. Marcus Mariota, first round pick. Jameis Winston, first round pick. Sam Darnold, first round pick. Tom Brady.
It sounds awful.
Tom Brady, 6th round pick.
When you say it like that, it sounds awful. Jameis Winston, Marcus Mariota, and Sam Darnold. It sounds like a bad joke. When you say it, it sounds like a really bad joke.
Right there.
What?
Those are some recruits right there. Sports Illustrated. Someone for Sports Illustrated wrote a lot of articles about those guys.
Oh man, I pray Arthur Smith can do for Marcus Mariota what he did for Ryan Tannehill. That's what I gotta pray for. Because the fun thing is with my team is we don't come in with high hopes. I don't come in with high hopes every year. I don't say this is our year. Fuck no. I'm lucky if we get 9 wins. Fuck, if we get 8 wins, I'd be happy. Sure. It's not like, Cowboys who come in every year saying this is their year. They play amazing all season and then forget how to play football in the playoffs. So
here's what I will say that should give you some hope. Now, evaluating other positions, god awful. Whether it's pass rusher or safety, that's not the Falcons' thing. They can evaluate receiver now, whether it's Julio Jones or Calvin Ridley. So maybe Drake London, we've got something there.
Oh, I definitely believe we got something with Drake London. The thing is, it's the issue I'm having is that the talent level drops way the fuck off after Drake London. So it's Drake London. So Drake London's up here. Everybody else is down the fuck here, like way down there. Like we don't have anything. So we have Drake London, and then we have, I don't even know how to pronounce this dude's name.
Yeah, I'm not sure you're giving Olamide Zacchaeus enough.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. This man This man has 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. expand with the team. Don't do that. The talent level drops way the fuck off, and then there's Kyle Pitts. So we don't have a lot. Like unless we make a play unless we can get Jarvis Landry to say, "Hey, I'll come out there for a year or two." But my thing is, are we trying to get him? That's my question. Are we trying to get Jarvis Landry? Are we just going to sit? Hell, Kyle Fuller is still available. I'll take him.
Is there too much pride to re-sign Julio?
Julio wouldn't come back. It'll be on Julio. Julio wouldn't come back. It would be his situation, and I don't think he'd want to come back. Me personally, go play somewhere else. Honestly, like not saying that in a bad way, but more of like you're not gonna win anything here. Not now anyway. Don't come back and waste the rest of your career here with us.
So of the trio, if you could choose between Julio, Landry, and Beckham,
I would take Beckham 100 times out of 100. I don't care who you had up there. I would take him out 100 times out of 100 because
he's definitely still got the most juice out of those two.
Absolutely. I mean, I feel like Jarvis Landry he still has it. The thing is, it's just Cleveland wasn't good for him. Cleveland's not good for anybody.
Cleveland's not good for anybody.
Let's be honest. Cleveland's not good for anybody.
Cleveland's only good for Drew Carey, maybe.
But Cleveland's not good for people to go and play. That's why no one goes to Cleveland. No one wants to play for the Browns, the Guardians, the Cavaliers.
James? That's it.
Who?
King James?
Fuck. He didn't have a choice. He was born there, so he's attached to that damn city. But the thing is with like Jarvis Landry, I think if he gets like I've heard Green Bay still has interest. So I mean, shit, they get him. That's a hell of a fucking upgrade. For wideout. I mean, he can still run routes. He can still catch. But I don't know. I feel like we need to get another veteran wide receiver because Calvin Ridley screwed us, and I don't think we're keeping him next season. When he comes, I think the moment his suspension's over, we're probably going to try to trade him.
Would you sign Antonio Brown? The pause means yes. The pause means yes, but I need to talk to him.
It does. It does. It means yes, but I need to talk to him first. I understand why he did what he did last year. I just don't like how he went about doing it. Like clearly, if I'm still injured, I'm not going to play injured, and you're not going to fucking force me to play injured because if I severely injure myself, you're going to throw me away anyway. But you can't walk off in the middle of the game, bro. You can't do that. You can't just take your shit off and be like, I'm out and walk the fuck out and get into your car and leave the stadium. You can't do that. You can't fucking do that. But if he was to come, I would need like you got to sign this contract saying you won't be this asshole, you won't be that asshole. You're just gonna be this Pittsburgh wide receiver that we know you are. That's what we need right there. I mean, he clearly can still play. Obviously, he's shown that. But I don't think after the stunt he pulled, I think he burned himself and he burned a shit ton of bridges on the way out. And I don't think no one's going to touch him with a 10-foot pole unless you're the Cowboys because you like shit like that.
I agree. And you know what else I think, Nate? I think it's time to hit the music. I think it's time that the people know we had a wonderful time tonight.
Absolutely.
We had Mike Fuji, co-host of Broad Street South, Philadelphia Sports Talk Show.
I'll be honest, I almost put up the Mr. Fuji picture before I was going to like, nah, I'm not gonna do it. Maybe next time, maybe next show.
find Broad Street South anywhere you can find this show, apparently. It's a phenomenon. You get in the podcast world, you're going to be on Bullhorn. You're going to be on CastBox. You're going to be on Podbean. You're going to be on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. But not only that, folks. Go on Facebook.
Absolutely.
Go on Twitter. Check out Broad Street South on Facebook. Get a little bit of that video game going. And I don't mean video game with a controller. I mean some video with Angel Hernandez and Mike Fuji themselves. Might be carrying on here a little bit too long, but that's okay. I like this music. Nate?
It's been a fun episode.
It's been a hell of an episode.
Absolutely.
I wish TJ could have been here. But
Get it? We're going to hold it down for you, TJ.
TJ's outside somewhere with one of those headlamps on, working overtime. He's probably putting gasoline into a diesel truck somewhere. That's why we love him.
I can't wait to ask him about that. I cannot wait to ask him about that. There's so
I'm
many
thinking we're going to
steps.
be on tomorrow night. I haven't heard otherwise.
There's so many steps that you have to take for that to happen. I can't wait to find that. I can't wait to hear that story.
Guys, check out Broad Street South, anywhere you find podcasts. Check out Mostly Football. Same place, same time, Monday nights, 9:30 p.m. EST, 10:30 p.m. if you're in that Central Time. And guess what, folks? Tuesday nights, 9:30 p.m. EST. We got Just Be a Dad podcast. And you know your boy TJ is going to be back. Talking about all his trials and tribulations. Talking about how, maybe life isn't going how you just want it to go. And that's okay. But I love you. Nate loves you. You damn sure know well TJ loves you. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Mostly Football. Nate?
It's been a fun night. Fun night.
Have a good night, MFers.
Is it over? No, it's still there.